Noble Lord's comments to colleagues in the Treasury.
Second oral question, Lord Berkeley, on behalf of Lord Snape.
A noble friend, Lord Snape, I beg to move the question standing in his name, I suppose my name, on the order paper.
My Lords, on the 17th of February, the Government announced it will provide up to £80 million to extend the bus recovery grant until the 30th of June 2023. The Department is evaluating the impact of this funding and working with local transport authorities and bus operators to develop sustainable solutions.
I'm grateful to the noble Baroness for that reply. Well, I welcome the money that's been allocated, but given that 80% of people who use buses have no alternative, and in fact, in Northern Ireland, the community bus service has been completely cancelled from the end of April. But isn't it time for government to devolve the subsidy and funding of local bus services to the local transport authorities to get a consistent and long-term service which will provide what people need and at a lower cost, and spread the benefits that in some places the Minister has provided over the whole country?
I'm not entirely sure I follow the Noble Lord's thinking there, in that just by devolving the same amount of money is going to provide services at a lower cost. It is the case that local authorities get funding to support bus services from the fare cap, from bus recovery grant, from BSOG, from concessions. The simple thing here is we've got to make the local transport authorities and the bus operators work more effectively together.
My Lords. The Environment Select Committee, in its report last year, yet to be debated, noted that without a continuation of the grant beyond March, route mileage would fall by as much as 20%. I, like the noble Lord Berkeley, I'm grateful to hear the grant has continued. But nonetheless, newspapers report that overall mileage has fallen by 10%, up to only a couple of weeks ago. Does my noble friend consider this to be a satisfactory situation?
Well, my noble friend is right in that some routes have been changed and some routes have been reduced. And it is the case that if an operator wants to reduce a route, it must put an application to the local transport authority, and they actually have the ability then to subsidise or to tender that route. We've got to establish a network which matches the revised passenger demand following the pandemic.
My Lords, the Campaign for Better Transport has done research which shows that in the last 2 years, since March 2021 and this month, and in March 2021, the government launched its Bus Back Better campaign, and in those 2 years, there's been a 23% cut in bus services in England. So, far from bussing back better, the government is actually presiding over the death of public transport in some areas. What is the government planning to do to reverse this? And will the Minister today commit to the transformational reform of the bus services operators grant system, which is clearly not working?
I can absolutely say that the bus service operator grant will be reformed. There will be reforms later out this year for consultation. And in terms of supporting services, we absolutely accept that we need to do what we can to provide a sustainable network that is fit for the future. That's why we've extended the funding. It's why we've got the £2 bus fare cap there. And we need to evaluate that funding and indeed the fare support to see what it's done to patronage.
My Lords.
Plans for a fantastic new zero-emission bus fleets in Stevenage and Milton Keynes, known as the Zebra Project, came crashing down last week when private sector partner Arriva pulled out. Twice as many people use buses as trains, but buses need to be reliable to increase use, or a vicious circle is created where passengers won't use them and operators won't run them. A new system giving communities the same routes and fares is desperately needed. Will the Minister therefore produce the much delayed bus strategy without further delay and bring forward legislation, as my noble friend Lord Berkeley said, to devolve these powers across England?
I'm not entirely aware of the strategy that the noble lady is talking about. We have got the bus strategy. We absolutely stand by that bus strategy. We do think the elements within the bus strategy work, but what we've what we are dealing with at the moment, as indeed are many other transport modes, is a significant reduction in patronage. And we need to think about how we get the best value for tax money with the support that we can give, whilst also encouraging the local transport operators to play their part.
My Lords, can I declare my interest as Chairman for Transport for the North? Bus usage has not gone back to the levels that it was pre-pandemic. In fact, I think the latest figures were at the end of March 22, 2.8 billion, as opposed to 4.1 billion passenger usage a year before the pandemic. Can my noble friend tell us what progress has been made with the announcement of capping of bus fares nationally? How that has, whether that has had an impact on usage, and what are the longer-term plans for that particular cap?
My noble friend is absolutely right that the £2 bus fare cap is really it's an important intervention for us to properly understand the relationship between bus fares and patronage. There are 140 operators over 4,700 routes that have taken up this bus fare cap. The government is investing £135 million in it. We are evaluating it as we go along, and of course we will try and make public those findings as soon as we can.
My Lords, although my noble friend Lord Berkeley has...
The noble lady will be aware that large parts of rural England no longer have a bus service and are dependent on community transport systems. Some areas, such as mine in mid-Suffolk, are set up in such a way that concessionary fares can't be used on those services, nor do they qualify for the £2 bus fare cap. So I wonder if the noble lady could have a look to see whether some sort of regulatory change might be in order to make sure that people who live in areas like this are not disadvantaged.
Yeah. The noble lady has written to me about this, and I have responded, and I can't quite understand what might be going on in her area, because it is fairly simple that if it is a Section 22 community transport service that's open to other people, and therefore concessions are allowed and the £2 bus fare applies. If it's Section 19 and it's closed and it's not open to everybody, then rightly so, the sort of national provisions don't apply. So if she has any further information, I'll be very happy to look into it.
My Lords, my noble friend noble Lord Berkeley raised the question of the bus industry. I do think this is an opportunity, however, for us to congratulate the bus manufacturers of this country, whether they be Alexander Dennis in Scotland, or indeed Wrights in Northern Ireland, or indeed Optare in Yorkshire, who are producing world-leading buses and using the latest technology in hydrogen power, as well as battery electrics, to lead the world on behalf of this country. Can we congratulate them, please?
Congratulate them. And I think that they do a fantastic job. And Noble Lords will have seen that the government announced £25 million of zero-emission bus funding only recently. And I believe that all of the vehicles with that £25 million for zero-emission buses went to Wright Bus in Northern Ireland, which has seen astonishing growth in jobs and skills, and it should be congratulated.
Yeah. My Lords, could my noble friend explain what the future is of concessionary bus fares, particularly important in rural areas?
We have seen a decline in the number of people using concessionary fares since the pandemic, and certainly those are the sorts of people who want to get back onto buses. It's so important. We are doing a review of a number of elements of the concessionary fare structure, and particularly important to local transport authorities. We are looking and will be consulting and reviewing the reimbursement guidance and calculator during the course of 2023 to ensure that local transport authorities are getting the money back from the system that they need to cover concessionary fares fully.
See, we're considering public money for buses. Will the government consider the case in urban areas to switching to trams, lightweight trams, which last 20 years rather than 12, which, because they have steel wheels, do not emit the toxic particulates from rubber, and most important, run on biomethane, when the government has got a commitment to reduce by 30% the methane products in this country by 2030.
the government is a great supporter of tram, and indeed the money that we gave to local metro mayors, which was about, I think, £5.7 billion in the CRSTS, much of that, or large chunks of that, is going to extending tram systems in their area. And of course, for other local authorities, it is up to them to bring forward tram proposals should they have them.